David Cicilline of the House Foreign Affairs Committee is in Ukraine as part of a congressional trip. He has met with local leaders there, as well as with Vice President Biden, and he joins me now live from Kiev. Congressman, thanks for being with us. It's not just Republicans calling for lethal aid to the Ukrainians. It's the Ukrainians themselves. Presidential candidate Yulia Tymoshenko, a former prime minister, she has asked Congress to provide weapons to the Ukrainian military. Why are we saying no?
Well, I think, the important point, Jake, is that at this point, part of the reason that we're here in a bipartisan delegation is to reaffirm to the Ukrainian people the support of the United States to kind of see the facts on the ground. We met with the acting president. We met with the governor in the eastern province, eastern region, with civil society organizations that are working here. And I think what everyone thinks or understands is that we're at a very critical stage in this crisis. There will be elections on May 25th. I think the agreement in Geneva gives an opportunity for Putin to back up some and to de-escalate the situation. I think if he doesn't do that and he proceeds and attempts to interfere with these elections in any way, then we'll have an opportunity to impose sanctions and to consider other options. But I think everyone is focused on what can we do to support Ukraine, to support their democratic aspirations, and de-escalate the situation rather than escalate it. And there's still an opportunity to de-escalate it. I think these elections on May 25th are going to be critical. We have to insist free and open, and that there not be interference by Russia in those elections. And I think that will be a critical turning point for Ukraine.
And Congressman, have you seen any evidence that things are de-escalating? All the evidence we have from our reporters on the ground in eastern Ukraine is that tensions are only ratcheting up, and that the pro-Russian forces in eastern Ukraine, who have seized control of various government buildings, say that they're not part of anything brokered in Geneva, and they're going to keep doing what they're going to do. What evidence do you have that this accord in Geneva has been successful?
Well, I think, first of all, we see tremendous evidence of Russian propaganda, of really sending out misinformation and exaggerating a lot of things that are underway. What we saw also is, the Ukrainian people's determination. We went to the Maidan, where the revolution began. We went to a city about 250 miles from here, where they're doing a lot of work to both build up their military, rebuild their democracy. These are determined people, and we have to stand with them. I don't think there's any evidence that it's de-escalated yet. I think the Geneva Agreement is that opportunity. As the Vice President said today, it's time for Russia to do what they said they would do and stop talking about it. So there's an opportunity for that. I think we need to keep the pressure on. I think we want to demonstrate as part of the international community that we stand with Ukraine as they attempt to protect their democracy, in the hopes that we will persuade Putin to back off. If he doesn't back off and he continues with aggressive actions, we need to be prepared to enact serious sanctions, to impose a real punishment on him that will have an impact on his economy and his leadership, and rally the international community to be part of that. But we have to, I think, get through these elections and ensure that, as the President announced today, that there are resources so they're free and fair elections. That will then be a turning point, I believe, for Ukraine. They will have a democratically elected president and an opportunity to move forward. But we have to make it clear to Putin that this kind of behavior is not acceptable.
Congressman, with all due respect, Crimea has already been seized. Vice President Biden said we cannot stand by and allow one country to take land from another. Hasn't that already happened?
There's no question it's happened. So now the responsibility we have is to be part of the world community, the global community, in responding to that and imposing some punishment. We cannot permit that kind of act of aggression, a violation of international law, to go unpunished. The question is, can we impose sanctions? Can we take actions which will impose punishment short of joining or being part of a military action? I think we have a responsibility to exhaust those things first and attempt to impose serious sanctions on Vladimir Putin and on the Russian Federation. And again, working with NATO and the international community, strengthen Ukraine. The most dangerous thing for Vladimir Putin is a successful, democratic Ukraine, a strong Ukraine, and that's what we have to help accomplish by supporting them in every way that we can.
Congressman, aren't there Russian special forces, or at least operatives of some sort, in eastern Ukraine right now?
I don't think there's any question that there are Russian representatives or agents in parts of Ukraine. The Ukrainian people, I think, know that. And this is, again, I think there will be the responsibility of the Ukrainian people to stand up their democracy, to respond to this, to be sure that elections go forward on May 25th, to be sure that they are building the capacity both on the governance side and on the defense side to respond to this. But this is sort of Putin's playbook, to be destabilizing, to put into places around the region forces to destabilize Ukraine and to destabilize the eastern part in particular. I think the Ukrainian people know that, and I think they will continue to respond to it. But we have a responsibility as part of an international effort to do all that. We did $1 billion in loan guarantees. The Vice President announced additional aid today. I think the international community will continue to do their part. But this is we went to the Maidan where we saw, 105 individuals, pictures, memorials of people who gave their life for the Ukrainian democracy. And these are people who are committed and determined to do this, and we need to stand with them.
Congressman David Cicilline in Kiev, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.